Good morning to you all, and thank you for making an effort to mark this occasion. My name is Sabit Jakupović, and I'm here to tell you about my personal journey through Serbian concentration camps Omarska and Manjača. On the night on 29th to 30th of April 1992, 400 Serbian police officers supported by paramilitary seized the power in all key establishments in town of Prijedor. The life as we knew changed forever. After takeover, Radio Prijedor broadcasted Serbian nationalistic idea characterizing prominent non-Serbians as criminals, extremists who should be punished for their behavior. Dr. Mujagic of the Bosnian Muslim ethnic group was accused of injecting drugs into Serbian women, making them incapable to give birth to male children. Or Dr. Sikora, a Bosnian Croat, referred as the monster doctor, was accused of making Serbian women abort if they were pregnant with male children, and of castrating the male babies of Serbian parents. Tension and fear increased significantly among the non-Serbian population in Prijedor area. There was a notable increase in paramilitary presence of Serbian formation in the town. Armed soldiers were taking places on top of high building rise in the town, and Serbian police established checkpoints throughout the town. Soon, Serbian authorities started to take control of surrounding villages. Predominantly Bosnian Muslim villages were taken by force. On 22nd of May 1992, Serbian-controlled Yugoslav People's Army, also known as JAN, issued an ultimatum to residents of village of Hambarne and Kozarac to surrender to the new authorities. The residents were supposed to surrender several individuals alleged for involving on an attack on Yana. The attack on Hambarine started on 23rd of May, following by another attack on Kozarac on 24th of May. During and after attack on Kozarac and Hambarine massacre, Serbian authorities set up 3 concentration camps. Keratin camp. Keratin was a ceramic factory and was set up as a camp on around 23rd, 24th of May 1992. There were 4 rooms in a camp, and by late June, there was about 1,200 people in the camp. Every day, people were brought in or taken away of the camp. The number increased considerably by late July. The detainees were mostly Bosnian Muslim and, to a lesser extent, Bosnian Croats. Omarska Camp. The Omarska Camp was a mine complex located about 20 kilometers from town of Prijedor. The first detainees were taken to the camp sometimes in late May 1992, between 26th and 30th of May. The camp building was almost completely filled with some of the detainees had to be held in the area between 2 main buildings. The area was lit up by specially installed spotlights and after detainees arrived. Female detainees were held separately in the administrative building according to the Serb authorities' documents from Prijedor. There were 3,334 persons held in the camp from the period of 27th of May to 16th of August 1992. 3,197 of them were Bosnian Muslims, 125 were Bosnian Croats. However, the United States Department officials, alongside with the representatives of other Western governments, have established that between 4,000 and 5,000 people perished at Omarska. Therefore, it's obvious that numbers are much higher. Ternopolje camp was set up in the village of Ternopolje on 24th of May 1992. The camp was guarded on all sides by Serbs army. There were machine guns, nests, and well-armed post point with their guns towards camp. According to our approximation, on the 7th of August, there were around 5,000 people detained there. Women and children were detained at the camp, as well as men of military age. The camp population has high turnover, as many people were staying for less than a week in the camp before joining one of the many convoys to other concentration camps or to be executed. The majority of detained slept in the open air. Growing up in former Yugoslavia and really believing in brotherhood and unity, I could not believe that rebirth of nationalism will have such a long-lasting effect. I just couldn't believe that my neighbors, classmate, would attack our villages, put us in concentration camps with excuse that they were threatened. It was hard to understand how our old friends have become our enemies overnight. But even more difficult was to understand how propaganda machinery was poisoning everybody by total misinterpretation of truth, and how rapidly moral of our neighbors was disappearing. Even today, I cannot understand how even Serbs could believe in lies they were telling. Even when paramilitary took over the cities, there still was a vast majority of Muslims couldn't believe that our neighbors will take weapons and take our city, our town by force. That they will bombard our little village for more than 20 hours before issuing an ultimatum to surrender. The other form of new undemocratically formed government was that all non-Serbian population has to wear white armband and on their sleeves and mark their houses with white flag. That was back to dark era of Hitler's Germany. It was an incredible feeling when you see. It was very hard to describe a feeling when you see our entire world collapsing in one day, when all of what you believe goes into smoke. Just captured and transported to concentration camp was enough humiliating that I lose my will to leave. Our village was cleared from non-Serbian. My elderly parents, my 1.5-year-old nephew and my sisters were loaded on lorry and taken at that time to an unknown location. 4 of my brother and I together were with 100 of men of military age were loaded on lorries and taken to one secondary school on the other side of the town, where we were captive, beaten up and humiliated all night. Next evening, we were transported to the open mine at Omarska. The group I was placed in washing area, sinks and showers of the main building. There were about 200 people, so there was no space to sit down. The next day, they moved some people so we could sit and lie on bare tile floor. The first 5 days without food, days and nights of physical and mental abuse, overcrowded in a washing facility without bedding, was unbearable. Not being Far from our village, we could see our houses being burned down one by one. The next 67 days with 1 meal per day, food unsuitable for human, which we had to eat literally in 60 seconds. We were timed. There were days when we were sent back from entrance, from lunchroom. So far, for 72 days in Omarska, we didn't have more than 60 meals. Constant calling out, beating of prisoners intensified our fear when they were coming to get you. Physical torture were drastically intensified by arrival of night. Screams, cries, torture of people and children were unbearable. The rampage of drunken guards got worse by the hour. Each morning, hallways, restrooms, parking areas were bloodier and bloodier, often with the dead bodies on the grass or parking area. Guards did not only torture prisoners, but often soldiers will come to beat us up. Frequently visits from soldiers, so-called special units of soldiers who were on leave from the front, would come to show us and our guards how they should deal with us. There was even some civilians coming to the camp, taking prisoners out and sorting their private disputes. Spending 72 days in hell of Omarska and another 48 days at Camp Manjača left long-lasting impact on me. The mere fact that I was one of 68 inmates who were selected from several thousand prisoners to be hospitalized in UK is saying about my physical state I was in. It is hard to believe when you see me now that in 1992 I was 25 and I had 45 kilograms, just over 7 stones. That is a courtesy of being in Serbian concentration camp. Coming directly from death camp to hospital in England was not easy to describe. Getting out of the hell and getting to safety, but without knowing the language and no support was not easy. It was not easy to live with it wasn't easy to live with constant nightmares, depression, psychological pain, to all of the injustice we suffered. It took a long time for me to learn with consequences of being in 2 concentration camps. It was extremely hard to watch the fall of Srebrenica, especially knowing what Serbs are capable of. My nightmare increased. I was very angry. I couldn't do anything to protect or even make people aware of ways to follow. It was painful to find out that I was right later when facts about genocide in Srebrenica came to light. There were hundreds of mass graves in Bosnia. In Prijedor town where I'm from, there are over 58 mass graves where Serbian buried non-Serbian people from our town. In October 2013, one of the largest mass graves in Bosnian war was discovered by international commissioning on missing persons in Tomasca, the village in a town near Prijedor. According to the witness, containing more than 1,000 Bosnian Muslims and Bosnian Croats bodies. I know that I will never get over the horrors of 2 concentration camps, and it will stay with me as long as I'm alive. But every extra day I live and every little success in my personal victory over criminal ideology, which was leaving, and unfortunately it's still alive among many Serbs in Bosnia. Despite relieving everything when I share my story, I will continue to try my best to speak up and make people aware of what I have been through, and the majority of everyday people had no idea what went through in less than 30 years ago. Thank you for listening. I hope you learn a little bit about Bosnia today.